I failed. I failed in a big way at most of my goals. So I've been off the tubes for a little bit, and I figured as I'm jumping back into things, why not do a Q&A session to kick off the year, just to get back into the swing of things. Now, before we dive in, how do we feel about this? What do we think about the new angle? Are we feeling it or are we not? I think we're trying it on for size. If it works, cool. It'll probably change in a few weeks. I'm not crazy about that empty space, but anyways. So I asked for some questions over on Instagram, and a lot of you guys sent in some great questions. Now I can't answer all of them. I'm gonna answer as many as I can, but some really good questions, so let's jump right in. So the first one, why am I your favorite? Well, that's because you have to carry the cross of hanging out with hot chicks all day, so the rest of us don't have to. And you will always be my favorite because of that. What's one piece of gear you regret getting rid of? Well, I don't think there's any gear that I regret getting rid of. I think there's a lot of gear I regret buying and wasting time and money on, which is why I try to encourage people not to go into the same pitfalls that I did. When it comes to gear that I've gotten rid of, nothing I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, the only thing that would be close would be night vision, but I didn't use it as much as I thought I would, and it was just kind of sitting in the safe, and so it was like, it wasn't worth it. So I don't really regret it, but that would be the closest thing I could think of. Will you be taking any classes this year? Well, yes, actually in a couple weeks, I will be at Bruiser's gas gun class down at the ranch, and then I'm gonna hang out for Precision Rifle 1, hopefully get some content for you guys. That way you guys can get an idea of what Precision Rifle looks like, because there's a bunch of content that we've done together on gas gun, but not a lot on Precision Rifle. Also hoping to get into one of Scott Peterson's classes. So I know he's got the one coming up in California. I hear that's a great facility, and I know a couple of the guys out there. So maybe I can make that one later in the year. We'll see. I don't know. It depends on how everything plays out, but that would be definitely one I would love to get in on. I want to do some more pistol stuff with my own defender, so maybe I'll get in a class of his. We'll see as the year plays out, but a lot more matches this year, but there's a few classes that are definitely on my list that I'd like to get into. Will you be supporting Ryan Day's contract extension? Yes, and go blue. We want as many more years as we can get from Ryan Day. It's fantastic for us. I mean, it's bad for the rivalry, but it's great for us. And the thing that I love about Ryan Day and where that team is at is that no matter, even if they win the national championship, their year is going to be a failure because they lost to Michigan, and not even a good Michigan team. Like at our lowest point in quite a long time, and we've had some low points, at our lowest point, they still lost to us. So they've got to carry that burden, and their season will be a failure no matter what they do from here on out. So yes, more Ryan Day. What are you most excited for in 2025? Well, off the top of my head, the first thing that comes to mind is I'm taking my brother with me to SHOT Show this year. So I will be at SHOT Show this year. I'm going for some client work and some other things, but mainly because my brother wants to mark that off his bucket list. And so I am grateful that I get to be a part of making that happen for him, that he gets to tick off his bucket list that he got to go to SHOT Show. So we're gonna go hang out for a few days and it'll be awesome. But outside of that, I think what also comes to mind is there's gonna be some changes in content, and we'll talk about that in the next video. And there's gonna be some just changes of like my schedule and priority, but the biggest thing for me in 2025 is the people that I've built relationships with and hanging out with them and getting to meet new people or meeting people in person that I've met online, getting to hang out and shoot with them. That's my big priority in 2025, like people over stuff, people over, all the other things, strengthening those relationships. So super excited about that. And yeah, we'll talk about that in the next video. What is your favorite watch in your collection? Well, it's actually this one, my Rolex Explorer. And I realized I haven't done a video on it, and I will do one in a few weeks on it. But yeah, that's my favorite watch. It's the only watch I actually wear because I gave my Speedmaster to my dad, and the vintage watch I gave away, but I haven't done the video on that yet, so you guys don't know about that. But we will, again, talk about that in a future video. Ooh, okay, a little controversial one here. 6 ARC or 5.56 for matches. Now, strictly for matches, 6 ARC is going to be the way. It is going to be superior in its performance. However, if you would benefit more by getting more reps because you're learning the skill, 5.56 is the way to go. I think most people will benefit by continuing to shoot 5.56 just for the cost. Like, you're not having to buy new mags, new ammo. For me, like when I think about it, and I should probably do a whole video on this separately, but if I go to my local gun stores, I can go and find 50 different choices of 5.56, 50 different choices of 223, and there may be 1 or 2 choices of 6 ARC. The availability just isn't there. The price of ammo hasn't come down yet. Barrel life is a little bit shorter, so you're gonna notice that if you're shooting a lot. So the cost of doing it or shooting 6 ARC is gonna be substantially more than shooting 5.56. And if what's most important for you to learn the skill is to get the reps in, then I think shooting 5.56 is a more viable option until you reach that point where you're noticing the significant difference. But for most people, I think, who are getting into the sport or who aren't quite to that top 10, top 15% level yet, you're probably not gonna notice the difference. But there is a genuine benefit to 6 ARC. I just don't know that that we've crossed the point of overlap where 6-arc is now affordable enough and viable enough as an option for the masses to use on a large scale and to start, you know, weaning off of 5.56. I just don't think we're there yet, and it'll probably be a while. We just need the ammo supply, the parts are getting better, the price of ammo is coming down, things like that. Once those things start to balance out, 6-arc will be, I think, the more viable option. But time will tell with all that, and there's other options coming out on the market, and people are always trying to find other solutions for it. But 6-arc or 6 max would probably be the way I'd go. I still want a 6 max. I'm still wanting to do that. It'll just be down the road. Are you involved with the gas gun show? No, I am not. I'm not involved at all. I don't run the matches. I don't promote them. I'm not helping organize them, any of that. I support them because Jeremy Moore is a great match director. He's been directing matches for all disciplines for quite a while. The 3 ranges they have are phenomenal, and Taylor's doing his very best to make these the best that he can. So I'm super excited for them. Now I will say I did, and I don't say this, I'm not trying to take any credit for anything, but I did help with the rules a little bit. There's some things that they've done that I disagree with. There's some things that I agree with a lot, and I know they've got some controversy about it, but I wish them nothing but the best. I hope that the matches do well. It looks like the first one is already selling pretty well, so I think it'll be good for the Texas, Oklahoma, Central region. West Coast has got Yuma, and they're doing really well, and then the Vegas, it sounds like Vegas range is going to do some more gas gun matches this year too, which is super exciting. And with all the classes going out to California with Joe and Scott, I think the West Coast is doing really well with growing their community. Obviously the Southeast has done really well, and then you have the Northeast that's done really well as well. So all that's left is kind of like Central America, or Central part of America, and then the Midwest. So I think that this, for the central part of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas's got matches as well. New Mexico, it'll be good. You can be at a match within a few hours drive, so that'll be good. The Midwest is still, I think, trying to figure that out. All that to say, the gas gun show I think is going to be good for the community, whether you agree with the rules or not. That's your own personal thing, but it still gives you a match to go shoot and test your abilities and test your skills. So I've told them what I disagree with, and I've told them what I agree with, and I support them, so it's their thing, and we'll see how it goes. Best mod on the 4Runner. That's tough because there is a lot of work that we've done on the 4Runner over the years, and there's some things that I would have probably done a little bit differently, had I go back and do it all over again. But the creature comfort, the one thing that I use the most and I'm happiest with the most of everything, is simply the little mount that goes over the center console, so I can mount my S-Pod there and my phone, and that's it. It just makes my life easier, not having to reach down to turn the lights on, and then having my phone as like a heads-up display there. Easiest thing, best thing. I use it all the time when I drive. Kind of dumb. It's the cheapest thing on the truck, but I love it. What scope design and features would it take for you to move from the Attacker 4 to 16? I'm assuming this is for gas gun, but I love that scope so much, and it does everything that I need it to. There's nothing I feel like it's lacking. This is just my personal preference for what I do, but I also come from shooting a 1 to 8 for so long, and the 1 to 10 as well. So going to 4 to 16 was an incredible luxury for me, and it's just a great optic. The only thing I can think of is, based on what I know about scopes, my limited knowledge, I'm not an engineer, I don't know as much as some other people, but in my limited knowledge, I would say the only thing that could make me jump away from that would be like a 5 to 20, but to keep the same size and weight, and that's it. Because the problem is if you go for too wide of a magnification range, so like if you did like a 4 to 25 or like a 4 to 30, your magnification range is going to be so wide that all it's going to be usable is the middle, and your high end and low end aren't going to be that great. And then also you're going to run into the issue of weight and length, size of the optic, and so you start to get into more downsides than you do cons of more magnification, or sorry, pros of more magnification. But I think the optic where it is in a really good sweet spot, and it's really hard to beat, which I think is why so many guys use it, and I think which is why it's continued to be where it's at in the market. But yeah, if somebody came with something revolutionary, obviously I'd be open to that, but off the top of my head, that's the only thing I can think of. But I love that scope, that setup, so I don't know. It would take a lot for me to do it. Sons of Liberty barrel, worth it versus the Criterion for SPR. I can't say because I don't have the Criterion. I know Joe has shot his and has said it's been phenomenal, been an absolute tack driver. I would say the Sons of Liberty barrel, off the top of my head, is just it's gonna be a hard to beat off the shelf barrel. Like being able to buy that, throw it into an upper that you have, and have a gun that will be competitive, or a tool that will help you learn the skill of shooting gas gun or precision with a gas gun, like it's gonna be hard to beat that, honestly. The Criterion, I think, will also be a good option. Again, basing this off of what Joe has said in his experience. I mean, obviously, Joe is a reputable source. The other barrel that I will say I've been impressed with is the IWI. Now, I don't think they sell that individually. I think you have to buy it in their upper and their precision gun that they have. But that thing for the price is also a tack driver. So there's 3 good options there. Check any of those out. But I'm biased towards Sons of Liberty because I saw that barrel when it was a prototype. I've seen the development of it and the other things they're doing with it, and the changes in calibers and things like that. And so I just really like it. That's just my preference. And once I find something I like, I don't really find a reason to get away from it. Like, if it works, don't fix it. So yeah, who's your favorite person to talk to, and why is it Mike? Well, that's because Mike and I have some great conversations. I really enjoy the breadth and depth of the conversation Mike and I have. And he brought me cigars. So, we always have good meals. So what is there not to love? And he looks like Macklemore, right? He's just doppelganger from Macklemore. So I get to look at those dreamy eyes over lunch. Anyways, I digress. Okay, this one's complicated, so you kind of cheated. You threw 3 questions in here, but we're gonna answer all 3. Okay, how's James? Any scripture been rocking you lately? And top 5 restaurants in DFW. So James is great. He's a grown man. Him and I are almost sharing clothes. The wife is also great. I've been able to spend more time with him and just enjoying doing more stuff with him, and he's becoming more independent and becoming more of his own person, and his personality's coming out. So that's super cool to see, and just enjoying my son. Enjoying the years that I have with him before he becomes an adult and runs off and changes the world. Second part of that, any scripture that's been rocking you lately? Yes. So as you guys know, I did a previous video, priorities in life, change, things like that. But there was a verse that I came across during that time earlier this year, and it was, imitate me as I imitate Christ. And what stuck with me was, and this goes back to my son, am I living a life worth imitating? Am I living a life where I can look at my son, or my son can look at me and go, I want to imitate dad like dad is imitating Christ? And I had to look at areas of my life where I felt like I wasn't. And it's been a constant change to fix those things. That's like the past 6 months of this year have been, okay, what are the things I need to change? What are the things I need to change in my life? The way that I speak, the things I talk about, how I spend my time, the way I dress, the way I carry myself, the things that I'm focused on, the things I'm worried about, where my money's going, where my time is going, all those things. Every aspect of my life, I had to look and go, am I living a life that I can tell my son, imitate me as I imitate Christ? And it's been tough. It's been a very interesting 6 months. And I was talking with another buddy about this, and he was asking me how I was doing, and I told him, I said, I'm good in the sense that I feel like I've been sharpening the axe over these past 6 months. I said, but the hard part about sharpening the axe is it means you're removing a lot of things. In order to sharpen metal, you have to remove material. And that removing things from my life has been tough. But I do feel like the axe has been sharpened. So I'm excited going into 2025. I'm excited where I'm at in life because of that. And the second part to that verse is, what does it mean to imitate Christ? And I'm paraphrasing here, but essentially it's doing things that that many more may live, that others may be saved. So being a living sacrifice. And how can I leverage the platform that I have? How can I leverage the time that I have with my son? How can I leverage the relationships I have? Whatever material things I have access to, how can I leverage those to help others, whether it is in getting them closer to Christ or just life in general? And again, it's probably something we'll talk about in the next video. But that is the verse that's been rocking me lately. Top 5 restaurants in DFW. Now this, for those of you that live in DFW, I'm probably gonna get a lot of crap about this because there are a ton of good restaurants in Dallas, and we have a bunch of good restaurants that have just opened up or just have come in from other big cities. These are my top 5. Disagree with me if you want in the comments. You tell me what your top 5 are. But right off the bat, Nick and Sam's, Townhearth, best steak in Dallas. The Mexican, chef's kiss. Haywire, really good old fashions, and then Nobu, because it's Nobu. So that's my top 5. If you don't like it, tell me in the comments. Tell me what your top 5 are. There's a bunch of really good restaurants. There's also cheap restaurants too. I wanted to throw Terry Blacks in there for the barbecue because I wanted to throw barbecue in there, but it's really hard to take any of those out. So honorable mention would be Terry Blacks, especially if you love barbecue. All right, last one, review of last year's goals, whether or not you completed them all. No, I did not complete them all. Actually, I didn't complete most of them. I failed. I failed in a big way at most of my goals. But I'm okay with that because I've always been under the impression that you should have goals that are hard to achieve. And if you're easily achieving your goals are too easy. You're not trying hard enough. And I think I'm okay with failing at some of those goals because it helped me to figure out the issue wasn't the goals, the issue wasn't that I didn't try, the issue was that I didn't have the right process to get there. So throughout the year, I was constantly refining the process of, okay, what I thought would get me to that point is not, and I need to correct that. And then the other thing too is I realized priorities. The other reason I didn't achieve certain goals is my priorities weren't correct. Whether that means they weren't focused on the goal or the goal wasn't a part of what my priorities really were. I was trying to do something maybe for somebody else or for the wrong reasons. And so I didn't do those things. But the big things for me, like I can say, some of them are personal and involve other people, so I don't want to say all of them in detail. But for example, my wife and I had come into this year wanting to get as close as we could. You know, our goal was to get down to only having our house as the only debt that we had. That was a big goal for us. And we didn't achieve that. We got really close, but we didn't achieve that. So we'll be much closer to that this year, or we should achieve that, in 2025. So excited about that, right? But we fell short of that. But it required us to be aggressive, and we had to look at the process of what we needed to do to get rid of certain things and cut things out and be where we wanted to be. And then, I had a big goal of wanting to be competitive in gas gun and to be in quantified performance and be at the finale and to try to compete for an overall win. And I did well. I think I only shot like 1 QP match or 2. I don't remember. Anyways, I realized through the year that wasn't going to happen because the finale was on my son's birthday and I wasn't going to miss his birthday because, again, this is where it goes into the priorities. So it was a bigger priority for me to be at my son's birthday than it was for me to be at that. And in that process of thinking that through, I started thinking about, is this thing that I'm chasing, is it worth giving up my relationship with my son for? And the answer was no. So I stopped doing that. And then also, life things, talked about in the previous video. If I wasn't going to go for the overall, then it wasn't worth it for me to travel to all these different matches. I can go to local matches and spend time doing that and still learn the same things. I still talk to the same guys. A lot of my other goals I did meet. So the things I wanted to do on YouTube, for the most part, I did. I would say like 90% of that, but at the end of the year, because priorities shifted, I didn't get to do it. But the first half of the year I did. Developing the skill that I wanted to in gas gun, I did that. Shooting NRL, I did that. And performing the way that I wanted to, I did that. Learning the things I wanted to, I did those things. And yeah, there was a lot that I did well, but there was a lot that I absolutely just fell on my face at, and I'm okay with that. And so that has helped me shift my goals going into this year. And so, there will be some more PRS. I think, did I skip that question? Yeah, so I did skip a question. Do you plan on shooting any matches in 2025? Yeah, I do. So I plan on shooting PRS this year. I've got that build videos coming up, and then I'll shoot some gas gun. I won't be at the gas gun show, but I'll do some other gas gun matches when I can. I want to get back into shooting pistol matches this year, building and growing the local community. So more of that stuff. There will be more matches, maybe even some 2-gun. I hear there's a really fun 2-gun match up in Oklahoma, so I may go try that one out. And then a few years ago, before I actually got into long range, I wanted to do a run and gun. So with this year and how things are shaping up, I may get the opportunity to do that, and I would actually love to do a run and gun. So I've actually started running again. I may do a marathon at the end of the year. We'll see. I'm still ironing out goals for myself for this year. The goals that I currently have are more process goals. They're more things I want to be committed to doing consistently. So I want to set a process and be committed to doing those processes versus, hey, this is the end goal I want to achieve, because there's so many factors that go into whether or not you achieve that goal, right? So if I were to set the goal of, hey, I want to run a marathon at the end of the year, and I get injured because of some freak accident, I don't meet that goal, but that was out of my control, right? But the process goals are things that are within your control, things you can control. So training for a marathon, I can control that. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. So hopefully that makes sense, but that's where I'm at heading into 2025. Now, the next video, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to talk more about some of those changes coming into 2025 for the channel and content. And yeah, it'll all make sense in that video. So see you guys in that one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the Q&A session. We should do this more often. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Karate chop that bell so you get notified every time I upload a video. And I will see you guys in the next one. Check, 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 check. Relax. Forgot one. How now, brown cow? How now, brown cow?